I think it's the well-being of a person on how they're psychologically doing. This could be like their emotions and actions that they take due to their like mental health, etc. I think as teenagers, our like mental health isn't taken as seriously because I guess parents or like adults think that we're like developing or like something's up with us. I think this could be at like school, what's going on at home, and even the people they surround themselves with. The reason why I say this because like school impacts how kids are feeling with the amount of work we do, and then activities we have to do after school. It's just like all compiled into like one. And then we have at home, and many people have like different circumstances in which like something could be going on at home, and it's even harder for them.
It's a very difficult question, but I think so, since people with lower income, some of them might not afford like healthcare, and to get a therapist, it depends on your healthcare, like your health coverage. You might have to pay for a therapist, and people with low income might not afford that, so they might have to put certain things before your mental health. And also, many people who come from low income, especially here in the United States, come from different backgrounds, and to this day, many backgrounds don't believe in mental health, or if you're depressed, especially in the Hispanic community, it's very hard to look for help and to have your parents support throughout your mental health journey.
Yeah, so lobotomy is when they would take out portions of the brain, mostly in the front, because the knowledge that people had in the past about the brain was very limited, so they didn't understand how the synapses work and how the neurons, etc. And they thought that if you remove certain portions, that certain portions controlled certain personality traits, that if you take them out, that people might become more docile. One situation where a man got, it was like a steel pole launched into his head, right? And he survived. So there was like a hole in his brain, in his head, and they were like looking for like how did his personality change, things like that. So there's a lot of weird instances. Obviously now we have a much deeper understanding of how the brain works, but to be clear, deeper does not mean complete. There are still hundreds and hundreds of questions that we still don't have answers to in terms of how the brain works, how things are perceived, how information is gathered and stored and all that kind of stuff.
When I've heard of it, it's like a place where they put people who they consider crazy, and it's like where they think that it will help them get better, even though it doesn't. It just makes it worse because they're sticking them in this like room and doing these like crazy things to them and like torturing them to help them supposedly get better.
Nellie Bly was one of the first female investigative reporters in the United States who went undercover at the Roosevelt Island Asylum for the mentally ill. For 10 days, she witnessed and experienced the neglect of patients from the hospital staff. The staff shutting down any patient who advocated for themselves, telling them that they were sick and this was charity. Some of the patients were women whose husband wanted their health. People with learning disabilities or low-income people who couldn't afford their rent were in the asylum. Patients were treated with lobotomies, leeches, electroshock therapy, ice baths, and much more. And upon inspections from authoritative figures who cared, the asylum staff would fix up the place and put on a show, pretending that they were saviors of the sick. Upon her release, the public was in outrage, and the asylum was shut down in 1894, following with an increase of the funding towards the care of mental health.